He's just a hack. He's just an absolute hack. And he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
Sean, how are we doing? We're back here on Hack City. Joe DeLeone and Sean Anderson. I don't know why that was my go-to to scream your name. Still trying to figure out how we can have a really quality open. That is not going to happen here on Hack City. We've got a lot to talk about week 10. Sean, how are you doing on this wonderful Sunday night?
I like the city's getting a little more populated.
Yes.
I'm excited to have some people at our what is it called, a public forum? Is that what cities have?
Is it a
Council
public
meeting?
forum? What's a more
A city
toxic
council
version
meeting?
of that? What's a more toxic version of a city council meeting? A rally? Rally's
Rally, not great. Yeah, there's some
too toxic.
Yeah, that word is come around. It's no rallies here. We prefer the Checkers X rallies, but we don't do. Oh boy, end the stream. That's a bomb. That is a bomb to open it up.
Sean, regardless, week 10.
That is a mid-Atlantic fast food chain joke. I should be executed.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Maybe that's what we're going to be doing today. Sean, we've got a lot that happened from week 10, and I went live last night to talk about the outcomes of the major games, and we got really good viewership. And I talked about on the stream, I think we might try to do some more Saturday streams. At the very least, it'll just be me. If you're available, you'll hop on with me. But
yeah, I'll be at the bars.
Yeah, you'll be at the bars. Maybe you can phone in. Glad that you're excited.
I'm sure. Hey, hey, brother. I don't. Your time before the if it was, hey, let's do this at 2 p.m. your time. I know it doesn't work because there's games happening at that point, but the time to go out, it does not transfer well. But that 3-hour difference, where you have like an hour before you go out.
Yeah.
Like if it was I had an hour before I go out and then hop on this stream, chop it up with Joe, look at Colin Sutrick making all those comments because I was about to be insulting and hurtful. I'm not. I love Colin Sutrick.
Colin didn't show up last night, which was odd. Of the higher viewership that we had last night,
I'm sure he was preparing for the SFX BX FFX bowl,
BDSM bowl. Sean, there was a lot that happened during week 10, and I know that I say that every week. I feel like every time I do the open, the coldest open possible, I always say that a lot happened. But there is so much shit that went down that needs to be recapped and discussed that we're going to go over on today's stream. And then, as always, anyone who is joining us has any comments, thoughts, feel free to drop them in. And if you are watching the recap, make sure you hit that like button as well and drop a comment underneath. Sean, before we do get into it, do you have the Bet Online read up and available? I forgot to ask you ahead of time. I know that it's okay for me to ask, man. I'm sorry that I have to ask. Is it so cumbersome that I have to ask if you have the Bet Online?
I actually at this point hope that you do it as a bit. I hope it's, hey, here's the bit that I've been doing. It's a long con on Sean. I'm gonna gaslight him every single time at the beginning of the show that we do a show to wake him up a little bit. I hope that's the bit that you're doing because of course I have the read up.
Okay.
Who do you want me to scream about? You want me to scream about the team that I placed some money on yesterday that helped me, or some team that I placed some money on yesterday that hurt me?
Let's be positive. Who made you money
Ohio State made me money on Saturday. I live bet them at 10.5, not 38.5 versus Northwestern, which is
that
what
was
the line
what
opened up about.
It moved down to 10.5.
They were playing in a torrential downpour, wind going crazy. CJ Stroud had like a ton of he had a lot of yards on the ground, not as much through the air because you're playing in very harsh weather there in Chicago. God, do they need a new stadium? I'm glad they're building it too.
That is the worst.
Looks, and I'm sitting there watching the game with just my roommates. They don't know anything, and they're like, "What is this?" I'm like, it's almost interesting to hear a perspective from someone that's not in it, because like, where are they even playing? What does this feel? They're just confused by it.
It's almost like and you don't really get to see the Northwestern Stadium that much because of they're never in the national spotlight. And whenever they are in the national spotlight, it's because they're playing at somebody and they're playing in like Big Ten championship game, and they somehow found themselves in it with like 4 losses, and they're unranked, and they still have no national
Right.
games. But it's like a souped out high school stadium. It's ugly, so ugly.
A couple views, you're like, oh, this is nice, and then some other views, you're like, the hell am I looking at here? What are these dudes doing playing on this? But Ohio State won some money covering 10.5. Tennessee lost all the money that I won from Ohio State, so I just broke even on the day, like a chump, like a loser.
Did you take a money line?
I took them plus 7.5, getting 7.5 alternate spread, and then I threw a separate wager on for a half a unit for their money line because it was plus 275 at game start, and that's just too much value for a matchup of that sorts.
If you listen to me and we're going to talk about it, your bet would have hit, but it is what it is.
What do you mean it would have hit?
If you listen to me, or no, it wouldn't. If you had listened to me, my point is that if you bet on Georgia and you listened to me,
I actually picked Georgia covering on the other show.
Your bad betting conversations are you're getting laughed at.
Hey, thanks. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. Bet online where the game starts. You know what? Again, pardon me for being a part of the only honest show out there talking about their wins and their losses.
No, it's a good point. It's a really good point.
All these other frauds that do shows, they talk about how great they are, I'm getting sick of Charlie White. I'm getting sick of Charlie White tweeting about how
tweeting about lacrosse betting. Who gives a shit about lacrosse?
I'm sick of it.
I know for a fact that
he's always one off. You make enough bets in a parlay and enough parlays, you're gonna have some tweets that would be able to look good on Twitter.
I know fellow Believe cohort and betting expert Joe Serralo on Believe Me. They are not talking about those negative bets. So you're absolutely right, and that's specifically a betting show. We don't even talk about betting. But no, we're honest. We're extremely honest. We've got a lot of honest things that we're going to discuss today. So, Sean, Georgia, Tennessee. I talked about this on the recap. It played out. This is one of the few games that played out exactly the way that oh wow, that was a bad voice crack. It played out exactly the way.
Show?
What?
4 years? How long have we been broadcasting together? 5 years now.
How many times do I voice crack an episode?
No, it's just you would think at one point it would stop happening.
The problem is I talk so fucking loud, and I talk like I project. If I don't project, my voice is unbearable on the microphone, and it's continuously just talking
you have a radio
so loud.
Voice. It's okay.
For hours. Well, and every guy with a radio voice has occasional voice cracks. You don't have that issue, and it's, you know what it is.
I talk with my normal voice.
Yeah, and your voice stinks.
Of course it does.
Sean, though, talking about this game, though, this played out exactly the way that I discussed on the preview show, and I talked about on so many different shows that I did that week, saying that Georgia was going to be the more physical team, that they were going to be the more physically imposing, dominant team on defense. They were going to get after Hendon Hooker, their defensive line. If you get a couple sacks and a turnover, that was going to remove Tennessee from the game. And that's exactly how it played out. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and take a total victory lap because it could have gone either way. It could have been a shootout and Tennessee pulls ahead and wins by 2 touchdowns. Or exactly what I talked about ended up happening here. It was a total flip of a coin. But what we did see, Sean, and what was totally proven, I don't think that this is a hot take to say, and I don't think a lot of people are pushing against this, but Georgia right now has proven they're as good as we thought that they were at the beginning of the season. Maybe they were holding back a little bit in some of these games, which they probably were, but they are the behemoth, the unstoppable force, the Thanos-level threat that we all described them to be in week 1 after they whooped Oregon, and now they're back on track, and they're just going to keep steamrolling their way towards another national championship.
That's a pretty good 2 minutes there for a phoner that you just gave me. I picked up on it. I know you have been doing some phoners lately because that's a strong 2 minutes you just gave me.
Not enough phoners.
A nice little pop culture reference. You know, a hot take that really isn't that hot, but you say a hot take to get the people fired up, and then it's not a cold take. Going. It's not a cold take, but that's a good phoner. I'll give it to you. That's something that. Hey, let's replay that. What are we doing in the 6 o'clock hour? Nothing. All right, let's get that DeLeone kid back on here.
Oh, is that my usage?
Here's
Dude, that's me in South Dakota every time I go on JT show, and I love JT on the Sioux Falls and ESPN. But it's like, oh wait, we need to bring up FCS again, even because we haven't talked about them for 5 weeks. Let me hit up that Joe DeLeone kid and ask if he's available the day of. That's usually what happens.
It's not just Joe DeLeone that gets replayed. I remember maybe even some bigger names like Albert Breer would be replayed from for a show that we used to be somewhat affiliated with.
Yes.
And if he could not be replayed, some folks were just a little bit antsy about filling that other 15 minutes. Here's a radio trick for you guys.
Sean, regardless, though, thoughts on the way that Georgia played. Do you agree that they have ascended to that point that we all thought that they were at the beginning of the season?
Dude, Georgia could have beat them by 40. They could have. If that rain didn't come, they would have beaten them by 40. And if Georgia had a Georgia-type running back, they would have beat them by 40. All right? They don't have Nick Chubb back there. They don't have Todd Gurley back there.
No.
They don't.
What the hell was the name of Dalvin Cook's brother? James Cook? No. Wait.
I don't think you're far off with it.
He's Dalvin Cook's brother was
yes.
was the starting running back last year, and he was fantastic.
You look it up. I'll keep speaking.
Yes.
They had control of that game, and there was never a moment where I didn't think they had control of the game. I was just rooting for a backdoor cover at the end of it. That's what I was, because I knew that if Georgia wanted to score another touchdown or get another stop, they could have. They could. I'm looking at it. Tennessee wants to start scoring late in the fourth quarter, trying to make it interesting for the bettors. I'm sitting there, girl that I know at the bar, awkward for me. So I'm just looking at the TV. I'll tell you about it. Just a girl that I saw, she ended things, and then I'm sitting here just focused on the game because I'm not trying to be in any conversation. Yeah.
Continue. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that at the end of the segment. Continue.
So I'm watching it. I'm like, damn, Georgia just went out there and just there were just men out there. They were they bullied Tennessee. They bullied Tennessee in a way where I thought it was just going to be defense, but no, it was Stetson Barrett saying, "Let me air this bitch out and just go over the top whenever I want." And Tennessee, you brought it up a couple weeks ago, and I can't stop thinking about it. You brought up how bad their pass defense is. I'm sitting here like, well, the pass defense didn't look too bad last week. Maybe they're getting ready for Georgia. Maybe they're getting ready. Nope. Bombs over Baghdad. Just go up top. Go ahead. Catch another 50-yard bomb. Make it Stetson Bennett. Making casuals say, how high do you think Stetson Bennett's going to get drafted? You think he's a top 5 quarterback?
Dude, that's that conversation.
This is what the casuals are saying. That's what the casuals are saying.
Yes, but Jim Nagy, who's supposed to be the Senior Bowl, the head of scouting for that, he tweeted about how he basically compared Bryce Young and Stetson Bennett, and I almost had a stroke when I saw that. But we're not gonna sit here and do that. But
that's me as a fan, not a fan, but somebody that thinks that Stetson Bennett is a good quarterback. I'm sitting here looking like Tennessee. You're making him look like a first team All Pro guy right now. You're making him look like this is not the dude. He's a very good college quarterback, but they made him look way better. That's a huge Stetson Bennett game. His agent must pop in bottles that night. I mean, just say, hey, look at the kid here. Yeah, man, we're getting some more money here. Yeah.
But that was exactly my point, and I appreciate you bringing up that statistic that I acknowledged a couple weeks ago about how really horrible. It's not even like weak, horrible. Their secondary has been. They have been giving up huge plays and large passing totals to mid-tier and quality quarterbacks. So, of course, Stetson Bennett, the first thing that they're going to do is attack that secondary deep. They were taking shots left and right. And Stetson Bennett, man, I give the guy credit. I have clowned on him early on in the season. I'm not doing it anymore. The guy was fearless. He was pissed off. He was aggressive. There's that alleged thing where, apparently he... the
phone call thing?
Yeah, the phone call thing where his phone number got leaked and everybody kept calling him throughout the night. And then he does the phone call celebration. My man was pissed off. And when he's hot, like I gotta say, is might be one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in college. When he's in rhythm and everything's clicking, and they're able to take those shots, and he's able to connect on those, the ball placement that he had
all day. Also, he just had
all
all
day.
day.
I'm sitting here.
Poor Hendon Hooker's got maybe a second. He
was fighting for his life.
Oh, they dialed it up on his ass. I mean, Georgia and Kirby Smart said, "Hey, let's do something that no one else has done. Let's just dial it up and see what happens."
Really quality comment there from.
He's being gross, and he's
Colin.
being. Look at the other one. Colin's just being gross today.
Yeah, I'm not going to read I'm not going to put the other one.
Why would you?
Fresh's comment though, it's a good point. I think Stetson, someone's going to take a flyer on him as a backup. He's going to be a great backup in the NFL, and he's going to float around.
He's as good as Ritter. I would feel as comfortable having Ritter as a backup as I would with having Stetson Bennett as a backup in Atlanta.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And Ritter went in the third round. I know it was a weak quarterback class, but at the same time, shit, man, that's what he is. He's Desmond Ritter.
Ritter is a lot better of an athlete, but to your point, like
Ritter can't throw the ball.
No.
Ritter can't throw. He does this. He winds up and he throws it from up here. Hold on. He winds up and his shoulder never looks like it's in the right spot. His shoulder looks low.
He's incredibly awkward.
And he's like that.
He's incredibly awkward. He's one of the most awkward quarterbacks, but Stetson and there are parallels to be made where just fantastic college quarterbacks that are going to be really, really nice backups, for their careers. And Stetson has some trajectory for him, a path to the NFL, but as a backup to be realistic, to hamper that. But the things that we're talking about here, Sean, with Georgia, like I think it's all just the perfect proof that they are the favorite to win the national championship. And there was question, and everyone
there's not even a doubt in my mind.
Right. And there were all these weeks where everyone was saying like, oh, maybe it's Ohio State, maybe it's Tennessee. And then the train was really rolling for Tennessee with how explosive they were on offense. And they got bitch slapped. And like, I know that was a crude comment by Colin, but they got fucking bitch slapped by Georgia this weekend. And if Georgia has a balanced offensive defensive attack like they did against Tennessee, no one is touching them. Nobody. I don't see anybody that can touch them.
It sure as shit is not, pardon me, Fresh. Sure as shit is not Ohio State, who got away with one on Saturday. I understand they won. You needed to win. Good teams win games. Great teams cover. They did both. All right. They got away with one though. It's Northwestern. They got one win. They don't have a win in the contiguous United States either. So you need to beat Northwestern by 40 points, which is what the original line was set at, not by 13.
Yeah, we got the point on the weather.
I saw the weather. I was watching the whole game. I watched that whole game.
It's a really good point. And the other thing, there's a couple other things I just want to hit on with this before we talk about the next game, Sean. Is Tennessee out of it? Is Tennessee completely removed? See, like I think with Alabama losing, with Clemson losing, they're almost a lock to be the 4 seed because they're going to win out. They're going to have one loss. They don't have to play in the SEC championship game and risk a loss there. They're going to be one loss. They're going to have a lot of really nice ranked wins on the remainder of their resume, and they're going to be the 4 seed. Like I'm willing to bet money. I don't know if there's probably a prop bet, a futures bet out there. I would 1000% put money on it that they're going to be the 4 seed.
Pat said it really good that it would be their top of the totem pole for the 1 losses. Basically, that's what they would be when it comes down to it for the CFP decision makers in that committee. He's stealing his comment here. Obviously, that's all I do. They would be the top of the 1 seed because I'm looking here, and then the fellows are talking about today. Who do you want repeating against Georgia? You want Oregon? 1 loss looks really good in the Pac-12. Do you want them to repeat against Georgia? Do you want Michigan to repeat against Georgia like they did last year? Or do you want to see Tennessee and Georgia again and see what we just saw this week? There's that 1v4 matchup, no matter who you put in there. Fuck it. Put Coastal Carolina in there. At least it'll be different.
Did you just say Coastal had their 1 loss? I mean, hell, maybe you can make the argument for UCF this year, but obviously not. That's satirical. I want to get to a couple comments before we move on to Alabama, LSU, Sean. We've got a lot of people popping in here. If you're joining us, you want to leave a comment, we will get to them sporadically throughout the stream. Colin says, it's good day, boys. lighting the cigars, down with Clemson in the ACC. So that was a big talking point that I had on the live stream that you were not there for, Colin, yesterday. I was really sad. We had our highest viewership ever on a live stream, Colin, and I thought that you were going to be there to support the cause.
It's fake as fuck, Colin.
Fake as fuck, Colin. Besides the point, yes, it has finally been proven this week what I've been screaming about, that everybody has been testing me on the entire season. The ACC sucks. The ACC is not good. It is the worst Power 5 conference. Those fake teams on the back end of the top 25 were not as good as we thought that they were, on top of where Clemson was placed. Syracuse lost to fucking Pitt. They lost to Pitt. Wake Forest lost to a true freshman quarterback at NC State. And Clemson, we all know what happened there. They lost to Notre Dame team, a mediocre, mid-tier, slightly above average, unbalanced Notre Dame team. It's pathetic. He's not as good as they are. I want Clemson out of the top 15. I want them at like 16 or something like that. I am rejoicing. Rejoicing. The ACC fans have pissed me off so much on Twitter and on YouTube. I'm so done with it. This conference.
Well, that's because they want you to just join their conference. Even though I guess Notre Dame's on a 29-game win streak against the ACC. Why would you want them to join?
But that's my point.
They
is
just
that
want that NBC money.
Right. If they ever join a
NBC,
conference, it's going to be the Big Ten.
It's an NBC, like a loser, rushing my words.
Like I usually do.
Yeah.
Quick comment here from Colin. His name's not Quavo. We're going to call him Fresh because there's a lot of capitals and lower cases in Fresh's name, but his name is not Quavo, Colin. Ohio State, Michigan will be a great matchup. What?
Why don't you pin Paz36.fun's comments?
I mean, that's a great point.
Let's just leave it up.
No, but I want to just really quickly, like, this isn't like a long evaluation comment here. Ohio State, Michigan is going to be a great matchup. I totally agree, and it sucks because the winner of this game is going to push out the other from the playoff, because of recency bias. It's just going to happen.
I don't care. I don't care about either Michigan or Ohio State being in. I think which one of them prompts we played in a Northeastern before. I didn't want to be playing quarterback. I didn't even get Fresh. I didn't even get the big jacket. We were there. All the other dudes were in their jackets. I was sitting there. Joe had a jacket. I'm a lineman. I'm just sitting there, no jacket, just 10 toes down, getting poured on. I think it was 40 degrees. Lucky to not get frostbite.
It was 35.
Didn't play either. So also incredibly cold the whole time. Not even like I was in there getting burned, getting my blood moving. Didn't get a snap that game. Just sitting in the rain.
Also Fresh. I played a variation of quarterback in a Northeastern.
I played you in the head for saying
I played upside down quarterback in a Northeastern. I had to snap a 15-yard football. And do you remember how many times we punted in that game?
Where have you found a 15-yard long football?
15-yard long snap. Do you remember how many times we punted in that game? I think we punted like 10 times in that game. I had an impeccable, perfect day long snapping. So I know that it's difficult, but
what is this? You have
to step up to the occasion and be able to play in the rain. My man is going to CJ Stroud's going to get drafted to somewhere with horrible weather. It's going to happen. He's got to be able to throw. What's going to happen when they play Michigan? It's going to be snowing.
That's going to be a tasty game, actually, because Michigan is looking. They're playing like they're built for the cold, right? They're playing like they're built for it. Like a lot of ground and pound, tough defense. That's what it's looking like. Ohio State playing like some, like a track team.
Yeah,
very, very. I mean, I don't know. Very, very opposite teams. And why are you giggling?
I'm not giggling.
You're giggling at something.
I was giggling at I was smiling at the comment
that a shitty attitude towards weather. Must be scared of the lightning. I'm scared of hacks, like you.
Sean, this comment here really quick though. Tennessee getting
yes, they are. Yes,
they are.
Unless USC goes on a heater and looks incredibly dominant, and the committee says, hey, they had a good loss versus Utah. We know Utah is not if they deem USC's losses good losses and they go on a heater and they spank Oregon or they spank UCLA, whoever they play in the championship, then USC is the only one that could contend with it. But they still did not beat Alabama.
So here's the one thing, just thinking out loud, what's realistically going to happen is it's going to be Georgia 1 because they're going to stomp LSU. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. They're going to beat LSU pretty badly in the SEC championship game. So the residual, the other team that they're playing isn't even going to be in conversation. LSU is not going to be in the conversation. Georgia 1. The winner of Ohio State, Michigan will be in probably at 2. And then Tennessee is going to be 4. But that remaining third team is probably going to be Oregon or USC. That's realistically what's going to happen.
If anybody in the Pac-12 puts up a stinker also, and if this Ohio State Michigan game is like a big, if it's like a dogfight, put them both in.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with that. 2 Big Tens, 2 SECs. At TCU, unless they flame out, I mean, what are they going to say, a 5 or 6?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I want to.
I'd be comfortable having both Ohio State and Michigan in the Final Four, just so I can watch them both lose.
If TCU wins out, they get put in. But realistically speaking, they're probably not going to, because they're getting tested against Texas, and then now they're going to have to play in the Big 12 championship game. So there's a bit of an uphill battle for that outcome there. Sean, before we get to more of these comments, I just want to continue recapping some of these games. Again, anyone who's joining in, we're going to hit on the comments towards the end of the show. Sean, Alabama, LSU, unexpectedly, LSU fights the entirety of this game. Alabama looks listless on offense. They're having a lot of issues. And then eventually, LSU wins in overtime with the big dick decision by Brian Kelly, who went for two on the last play of the game and won the game in a situation where Alabama wasn't even properly lined up. They had another guy who was running off the field in an effort to have 11 guys correctly placed. They did not look like they were in a situation to properly defend that play. Now, Sean, the main takeaway that I have from this game is we need to start having the conversation. Is it time for Nick Saban to retire? Because Alabama has gradually regressed. And I know that's such a morning talk take. I know that's such a first. It's such a first take comment to put up on the board. No. Okay. Besides the point, it is a conversation.
I'm sure Saban should retire. I'm going to go take a piss.
It is a point that needs to be discussed because
you're not being realistic.
It's something, I'm not saying that he should. It's something that needs to be talked about. That's the point here, Sean, is that it is a conversation point because Alabama has slowly regressed over time. And are we going to get to this point where it's kind of like with Joe Paterno, where Penn State was just kind of a mess towards the end, obviously for completely different reasons, but they weren't playing as good.
I'm sure all the Alabama fans won't take umbrage with that.
Yes. My point is like a lot.
What was Bill O'Brien doing? Yeah.
Joe
oh, good Lord.
I can't.
Oh, shit.
My point is, Sean, is that as a lot of really older coaches continue on, they eventually get to this point where they're not going to have that same level of impact. And the quality of play on the field regresses. No matter how many good coordinators you have, there are going to be holes that are left on your roster. So the conversation that now needs to be had.
That roster is a little thin.
At what point do you decide if you're Nick Saban to retire? Is this the timing? Is he getting passed by better coaches? Not better coaches. Younger coaches like Heupel, like Kirby Smart, like maybe whoever takes the Auburn job.
They're very hungry. Here,
hungry?
The other coaches, the younger coaches. Here's the thing. Alabama is one elite wide receiver away from not even being talked about like this. All right, they are, because when's the last time you saw an Alabama wide receiving core that didn't have that dude on it? They don't have a prime target this year. The team this year, they lost a lot to the draft. They continuously lose a lot and they rebuild. Okay. Trickle down. Now it's your turn. You're a senior. They didn't have a senior be that guy this year. From Julio to Waddle, there's always been somebody in that stretch that you could count on to make a huge play. They don't have that on offense. Jahmyr Gibbs, fantastic talent. Offensive line, always going to be solid. Defense, always going to be solid. Not a very good defense this year. Shocking. but it's 1 year out of the last decade where you're sitting here having this conversation. I don't think Saban's age has a thing to do with it. I think it's just a crop of guys that are not invested, but they're just not there yet. Like they're just not. They're not. This isn't the team. It's just not the team this year. In previous years, you could argue that they always had the team.
But here's the. You make a really good point. This team is not up to the. This team is not up to the caliber of the national championship winning Alabama teams that we've seen over the past decade or more that Saban has been there. I totally agree that them missing a receiver has seriously hindered them when they're facing off against really well-coached defenses. Matt House, I think, is the name of the defensive coordinator for LSU, had one of the best scheme games that I've ever seen. He knew how to confuse Bryce Young, and if anyone was open, he wasn't finding him. He was really effectively pressured. But what is concerning is that this might be, actually, I don't think might be, this is probably the worst Alabama team that we've seen in a long time.
Since I've been paying attention, since I've understood the concept of college football, this is probably the worst I've seen.
Yeah,
where I've had a passing interest in it.
We are too young to remember the early years of Nick Saban, and he turned the program around very quickly. And from what I understand, that first year was pretty rough for Alabama. But in the span of dominance, this is probably one of the worst teams that he has coached and that he's put out there on the field. And that's why I think that the debate for if he should retire is legitimate, because it gets to a certain point is, are we just going to see Alabama slowly regress more and more? Because everyone was talking about how last year was a down year for them when, they lost to Georgia and they lost in the national championship game, a game that they probably could have won. And they were supposed to be set up for tremendous success this year. And they took a step back even further. And Georgia, to your point about them losing all of those guys, Georgia lost more guys to the draft and more key defensive players, and their defense has gotten stronger.
They had a couple really good classes. Let me try to explain what this Alabama team is. Okay. The Alabama team is the Italian sandwich. That's what it is. Consistently the best sandwich. Always, if you go into a restaurant, you get an Italian sandwich, you're happy because for the most part, it's good. You got all the meats on it. You got the good bread, the cheese that you like, all of it. You finally went into a deli that didn't make you a good Italian sandwich. It happens very rarely, but this year it happened.
Okay.
This year they didn't have the prosciutto. They didn't have it. They didn't have whatever they didn't have what you preferred on it. They have some backup ham going in instead of the nice thin slices that you want. That is what this team is. Next year, next deli, you're probably going to go in and get a pretty good Italian sandwich.
Okay.
That's probably what you're going to go get.
Here's my counterpoint. It is
the club is better.
No. I love that. I love that analogy, and I like how we're very outside the box with our analogies here on this show. It's like the Italian sandwich, like you're talking about, but the guy who's been making it for the past 15 years, however long, he's been doing a great job. It's always been good. Yeah. Some years it's not been as great, but it's always been really, really good. But now the guy who's making the sandwich is starting to get really sloppy. And there's a lot of mistakes and a lot of holes with the sandwich, and it doesn't seem as well prepared. And then you're kind of thinking to yourself, hey, maybe he should pass this along to his son.
He hasn't been sleeping great. He's getting a little shaky hand. Okay. It hasn't been a great year for him.
I think it's time for him to pass. Another man needs to be making the sandwiches in the sandwich shop. His car is falling
apart. There's things that could be happening that could deter from the sandwich making.
I know plenty of old Italians that make sandwiches, Sean. Man,
that dude is still the dude that can make a sandwich. He could still make that sandwich. Maybe his knives are getting dull.
This got to be the best. I'm sorry, but this is the best analogy that we've ever had. It is on par with the bear that we talked about with was it Georgia that we compared to?
I think I actually compared Alabama's defense to the bear.
God. That might have been what it was. No, that's a fantastic analogy. It remains to be seen what happens with this Alabama situation. Last point before we talk about Texas, Kansas State. Does LSU have any possibility at all? Say they win an SEC championship. Can they somehow be placed in the playoff? I'm not saying that there's a possibility, but I am asking you, is there somehow, some way, a possibility for it?
Okay, LSU has to play Arkansas, stinker, UAB, stinker, and Texas A&M, super stinker to close out. That's tough. That is a tough draw for the final three because there's no way you get any respect by beating those 3 teams. You beat those 3 teams, you got a pretty record, right?
Mhm. They've got a lot of ranked wins.
It's just crazy how impactful that first week Florida State loss was. And it shouldn't be, because it was week 1 with a brand new coach, brand new system, brand new everything. But is that what's going to haunt them?
I would
that
argue
Tennessee loss is damning also. 40-13 is
Yeah.
a lot different than 27-13.
I would argue if they're hypothetically a 2-loss team, like you said, you would
They
need
smoked
you
Ole
would
Miss.
need a 3-loss Florida State team to be ranked, like in hovering around 20 to potentially
Yes.
justify, because that was
Florida
a very
State sucking it up is not helping them at all.
Mhm.
But I don't know much about the committee. I would assume momentum helps. And I would assume that if you look sweet, winning these games by big numbers, and you look unstoppable, they have to almost concede to the idea that this team right now could put up a better fight than a team that doesn't look that good right now that might be a better team, if that makes sense. If you think a team is really rolling and they can go into the CFP and put up a challenge versus Georgia, put up a challenge versus whoever, maybe that's a better game than, I don't know, putting in the Big 12 champion.
It's almost it's actually the sad thing.
How do you
though,
put
is-
LSU in this year, right? How do you possibly do
right?
it?
But the reality of it, and here's the reality: they're not going to beat Georgia. They're
No.
just not. And that's the end of the discussion. We don't need to sit here and analyze that. They're not going to beat Georgia. It's just not going to happen. And as
Could they
exciting
keep
as
it
it
close and entertaining with Georgia? Could they keep it closer with Georgia than Tennessee,
Bro,
Oregon,
dude,
or USC or TCU? Could they?
Georgia just
I
completely
understand, but
blasted
could
Tennessee. I think that is going to be one of the ugliest SEC championship games that we have seen in recent years. And we've got somebody saying that LSU.
Then
I'm sorry, but it's not going to happen. We got a lot of comments, by the way. Appreciate everyone.
I can't read them anymore.
Sean, by the way, we've tied the viewership that we had yesterday, so we've got another great show today. Look at you. You show up and everyone's here excited to see you. It's a great show, everyone. Everyone who is tuning in, drop a comment. We're going to get to any questions that we do have. I'm going to start pinning some of them so that we can grab the great questions that we do have. Kansas State, Texas, Sean. I did not watch this game, admittedly, but I watched the highlights to get a sense of what happened in this game. My thoughts on Adrian Martinez, I think, were completely justified, that he sucks. He's fun. He's a great athlete. He's not a good quarterback. He had multiple fumbles, one that was a turnover on the final game-winning drive that they could have led, or game-tying drive that they could have led. And then at the same time, he also threw one of the worst interceptions that I've ever seen. Now, what gets really, really weird now is how much stock do we put in this Texas win? Like, is this actually a good win for Texas? Or is this just an overly propped up Kansas team and they're all kind of evenly matched and it's not as impressive as I think some people are propping it up? What do you think?
The running backs for these teams tell a great story about how this was a very good win for Texas, because Deuce Vaughn touched the ball 26 times and got over 8 + 6 + 3, 160 scrimmage yards and a touchdown. He had 7 catches, 86 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown. Carried it 19 times, 73 yards, no touchdowns rushing. So you won versus a very good Deuce Vaughn performance. And you also won on the back of, I know Ewers threw 2 touchdowns. He's got a slingshot arm. Bijan Robinson had 30 carries, 209 yards and a touchdown, 7 yards a carry. There's nothing not quality about that. There's nothing you don't see. You just don't see that. You don't see something of that high quality and you dismiss it. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful Persian rug right there. $15,000. Why is it $15,000? Because it's beautiful and it's been sewed with every centimeter. Okay, that's what you see. But you can't discredit a 209-yard rushing performance.
But the Persian rug also has a bunch of holes in it at the very top of it.
Not that Persian rug. The Persian rug store, sure. The rugs in the back, the defense, aka the DB rugs, those have some holes in them. Front and center. Here's your Bijan Robinson rug. This is getting the people in the store.
Yeah. I see what the rug was. You're saying that Bijan was the rug. I love Bijan Robinson, and this was like one of the best running back
He's a
head-to-head
stud.
matchups. We don't have head-to-head running back matchups like this anymore in college football. We just don't. This was a battle of two very unique players that are going to be top prospects.
In 2019, there was one of the best running back matchups that we've ever seen in our life between whoever and whoever. I don't know running backs.
Someone's gonna. Well, one of our FCS listeners would be like, "Well, I actually South Dakota State versus Northern Iowa in 2009. We actually
you don't remember this insane game between James Robinson and whoever else? No, right. I don't.
And Adam Cofield. No, but to the point of that though, I just freaking wish Texas beat Texas Tech. Like they had that game. And if they had Quinn Ewers, they would have won that football game. The Oklahoma State loss it is what it is. They had Quinn in that one. They didn't finish the game. Another instance of a blown lead, not finishing a football game. But you could make more of an argument for Texas, being in the top 15 if they hadn't have lost to Texas Tech. And we know that Texas Tech isn't really that good the way that they played against TCU. They're a very sloppy and uneven roster that they have. But I think that this Texas team just fits the perfect description of playing spoiler for every team that they're going to play, which next week it's going to be TCU. That's their ceiling, is playing spoiler, being ranked and finishing the season at like 15th. And then next season, they're going to roll that success and confidence for Quinn Ewers into a really big year. They have the trajectory. They look really, really good, and they're improving on a week-to-week basis. And I love the way that this Texas team has improved consistently.
This Texas team would have been so forgiven for that loss to Alabama without Quinn Ewers in the second half. They would have been so forgiven because you still only lost by 1 point. It would have been, hey, Texas is legit. And then you lose to Texas Tech. And I know Texas Tech and their fans are crazy people. They're crazy people. Their basketball fans are crazy. Mm-hmm. Their football fans are crazy. I get that. You can't lose that game, and you can't put the effort that you put out versus Oklahoma State and say, hey, we should be treated with more respect this year. All right? They're very inconsistent. They win when they want to. They lose when they lose all the time. They lose too much. You can't be that team that wins when you want to. You have to win every week if you want to make it to the playoff. Because, by the way, if you're on the team right now, you're not going to get to the 12-team expanded playoff. So you still got to fight for 4. The people coming under you, sure, they can make it happen to the 12 team. You can't. So you still got to fight for the 4. You can't just fucking lose. You can't just lose to Texas Tech. Come on. Stink.
All right. Sean, my internet is being very uncooperative, but I want to wrap. I want to wrap before
can't handle the bandwidth.
I want to wrap. Can you hear me okay? Is it coming?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I can hear you.
Okay, I'm just fuzzy as all hell. I want to, before we get to a lot, we've got so many great comments, and we're going to get to all the comments, the ones that are answerable and reactable to, if that's a word. I want to do our segment that we previously did on other shows, but I want to start doing it on these reaction shows. That is Hack of the Week. And for anyone who doesn't know what Hack of the Week is, it's where we pick somebody who was the biggest hack in the media, the biggest hack just in general. It could be fans in the sphere of college football now. It just describes somebody who said something obnoxious or was doing something obnoxious that was clearly disproven. There are a number of ways to describe this. Sean, who is your Hack of the Week as my internet slowly fades back in?
Can I give an anti-hack of the week from Mike Leach taking all the chairs down off of his sidelines? Like, could that be hero of the
absolutely.
week? Yeah, that's my hero of the week because he just rules. Hack of the week is the Notre Dame fans that tried to be humble and try to say, oh, we're really not that good and Clemson's going to stomp us out. Where in your heart of hearts, you knew Notre Dame was going to win, but you had this facade, this lie. And you said, no, Clemson's legit. They're going to beat us. And, we're just, their defensive line is really good. And DJU broke out and he might break out again. You did it. You did it all week. You did it all week. And I caught you. Every Notre Dame fan, I caught you. I caught you with this fakeness. And that's all because of this elitist Notre Dame fandom where your shit doesn't stink. And I caught you all.
All right, you know what, Sean? There were, yes, and I was one of those. I was one of those people.
Some truth in that.
I was one of those people. Okay. I was one of those people this week. And also for anyone, the Notre Dame fans that were, trying to collect on my statements at the beginning of the season on Marcus Freeman, I did apologize to Marcus Freeman on yesterday's stream. I'm not
I almost
circling back and
texted you
redoing
with
this.
a screen cap of that video
Oh
last
my
night.
God, dude. Oh my God, dude. There were a lot of people that came back and commented, and I replied. I said, if he beats Clemson, I'm willing to admit that I was wrong. My hack of the week is very similar to yours, but for different reasoning. It's
Okay.
everyone involved with the Clemson Notre Dame game. It's directed specifically at the people who attacked me for saying that Clemson stunk. There were all these dipshits that were going out of their way to point out all these just random unnecessary stats with Clemson. If you watch them play on a week-to-week basis, they're not a good football team. Everyone was trying to prop me up and set me up to be some dumbass. They were trying to make it seem like I had no idea what I was talking about. Like I have,
Who are these people? I want to get in Discord with them.
People in the comments and some people on Twitter.
Take my phone number. We'll all play Xbox together.
But if you watched Clemson on a week-to-week basis, it was blatantly apparent that they had the most massive hole at the most important position, which is quarterback. Klubnik's not ready to take over, and DJ Uiagalelei is terrible, and it's one of the worst offensive schemes that I have seen. They don't have the receivers. Will Shipley is great. There are great pieces on that team, that roster. The defensive line is fantastic, but that is not the fourth best team in the country.
Terrible is tough to say about DJ. It's tough.
He's terrible.
Because Clemson has been spoiled. They've been spoiled a little bit with some good quarterback play with Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson. Is Taj Boyd Clemson?
Yes.
I think he was. Taj Boyd, he ruled. Yeah. Never got a fair shake in the NFL. I don't know why. Regardless, Clemson's been spoiled with these fantastic quarterbacks. Now we get to see what an average college quarterback looks like, and then everyone says he's terrible. No, he's average. He's an average quarterback that is admittedly not fitting the scheme of Clemson, which needs a good to great quarterback.
Yes.
So
to my point though, is that it was so blatantly obvious the way that he played against Notre Dame and the mistakes that he had, and overall how Clemson played. They played exactly how I've described them this whole season, which is haphazardly on offense, inconsistent on defense. They let one of the worst offenses in the country score multiple easy touchdowns in that game. They are a top 20 team at best, and that's the most that I'm willing to concede. But the other thing that was really annoying is seeing all of the Notre Dame supporters and fans moving the goalposts to justify the Notre Dame victory. And what I mean by that is there are a lot of people that were trying to prop up Clemson so that Notre Dame looks better for this victory. Notre Dame's season's done. They can't win anything.
It's been done.
It's been done after they lost.
It was shit canned in week 4.
It was done after they lost to Marshall. They can be ranked. It's possible.
Stanford.
They're not. And then they also lost to Stanford. There is nothing else that Notre Dame can do this season. Go ahead and move the goalposts. It doesn't mean anything. The Notre Dame fans need to realize, move on to next year. And again, I am conceding that I was a little bit too quick to jump the gun on Marcus Freeman. I'm willing to give him time and see how it pans out. I'm still very wary. I think that there are a lot of question marks after the way that they've played in important games. But for them to step up the way that they did, I do give them credit. But please, for the love of God, Notre Dame fans, stop trying to move the goalposts and make this team seem like it's like a really good Notre Dame team. It's not.
It wasn't a very important game for them because there was nothing at stake except for spoiling. So Notre Dame thrives in that. But you put them under the spotlight where they need to win and they need to move on. It's a little, all right, go back in the cave. You guys, will see you next year. Enjoy it on the couch with the rest of us.
Yeah.
So moving the goalposts, I did see some of that as well.
Last point on this, and we're going to get to the comments, and we're going to wrap after we get to the comments. Again, great viewership today. I really appreciate. By the way, Fresh is I love the participation from Fresh. Been doing a great job. He might actually be beating out Colin here for supporting the stream as much as he is, because I've seen more hit that like button and share with your friends' comments than Colin has thrown in here. But to the point, the last thing that I want to say on the Notre Dame game, and I'm completely blanking on what I was going to say. I completely got distracted by by giving Fresh credit. What was I going to say? I don't remember what it was. All right, let's
Away.
get
Fuck it, with a whimper, brother.
Professionalism. All right, Sean, let's get to some of these comments.
Oh,
from
I'd love
Herman.
to.
It's hard to recruit at Notre Dame. Just ask Brian Kelly. It is hard to recruit at Notre Dame, and that's why I'm willing to give him credit. Oh, by the way, so this is what I was going to say. Someone tried to call me a casual on one of that came back to comment on the video.
Oh my God, he's not. He's the most uptight asshole about Notre Dame that I've ever met. He knows everything.
I have been watching.
Casual.
I was, and look, this is the only time I might even bring this up multiple times. I was baptized in the church. I have been to Notre Dame every single year since I was born. My dad went to the school, and I almost transferred out of playing football at an FCS program to transfer to Notre Dame. I was in the process of doing it until I started. You don't know about this. I didn't.
What
did
year?
I not tell you? Freshman year when I wasn't starting.
Yeah.
When I wasn't starting, that was why I took chem and calculus. I talked to somebody in admissions at Notre Dame, and I asked, like, what do I need to do to get in? And they said, you need to take chem and you need to take calculus. And I did that. And I would have gone there. But I am the biggest Notre Dame homer out there. I'm not a casual. I have been through every lump of the way.
So many plans with me and his other friends on the team to go and watch Notre Dame alone with a bowl of pasta in our apartment. He didn't want to hang out with me or anybody else. He wanted to sit down and watch Ian Book go throw for 160 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks.
Exactly.
That's what he does.
I'm not a casual. I refuse to accept that. Clemson's head coach Dabo needs to recruit the best quarterback he can to compete next year. So Herman, they have that guy. Cade Klubnik's that guy. He was a 5-star recruit, highly recruited kid. I think he's got a lot of talent. He pissed down his leg when he threw that interception on the second snap he took in this game. But next year he's going to be good. Like that's like, you know, a Deshaun Watson type player. That's who DJ Uiagalelei was supposed to be and didn't pan out to be. They've got the guy. You know, they're going to be fine. Any thoughts on that, Sean?
Fuck no. I don't know anything about recruiting. I don't care about college football players until they're at least sophomores.
Kevin Stevens says, Georgia wins it again this year. Defense can stop everyone in the top 4 the rest of the way. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, Kevin, and
feel free to rewatch to the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, I don't
me and
think
Joe both basically yelled at each other, arguing the same point that nobody's going to beat Georgia.
I don't think that there's any debate there. Casuals propped up Clemson. Yeah, absolutely. Those that were just reading off of a resume were
1,000%. 1,000%, Colin. Casuals tuned in and saw that overtime win versus Wake Forest, which they should have lost.
Yes.
And they said, "Whoa, Clemson just beat a ranked Wake Forest team that we saw was ranked, and now it's a big deal."
They're unranked.
They tried to make the ACC a thing this year. All right.
Clemson's remaining schedule is weak comparing them to the other college football teams. So that's
their whole schedule is weak. They play in the ACC.
It's terrible, and that's why the playoff committee needs to do the right thing here and put them at like 16 so that there is no path for them to somehow sneak their way into the back end. Some bozo that's on the voting committee is going to try to do it, and I'm going to lose my goddamn mind if they are the 6th team and the one of the first 2 teams out. I'm going to lose my fucking mind if it happens because they suck.
Sure.
Comment from DJ, my top 4 running backs, no particular order, are Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kendre Miller, and Chase Brown. I think Deuce Vaughn deserves to be in there. Like I would push Deuce Vaughn in there.
Top 4 college running backs or draftable prospects?
I think just college running backs.
Yeah.
Blake Corum too.
Blake Corum's a stud. Who's the both of those Penn State running backs can be top 4 next year or the year after. They're insane. And then who's your Cal guy or UCLA guy? Charbonnet. I really like Charbonnet. Great. Charbonnet runs like he does not give a fuck if it's a truck lining up right in front of him.
Yeah, I love downhill. All right, from Herman, let's say LSU squeaks a close one over Georgia in the SEC championship game. My opinion is the committee will take 1-loss Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU, Oregon, USC if everyone else holds serve. Wait, so
he's giving 1 SEC, 1 Big 10, 1 Big 12, 1 Pac 12.
So
Ideally, I think Herman must be a traditionalist where
yeah.
which is fine. I think it's more entertaining for the sport if every conference has a team that deservedly should be in the top 4. I like that.
I think this is
If LSU beats Georgia,
yeah.
LSU's in the top 4.
Right. I think this is a very realistic and level-headed take on this for a very unrealistic scenario. Like
Yeah.
again, realistically, LSU is not going to win that game, and the best that they can do is lose a close game. Like that's the best that they're realistically gonna do against Georgia. Because again, we talked about earlier.
You get a New Year's Day bowl, everyone's happy.
Yeah, it's Thanos that you're going up against. It's not. They're just not equipped to do it. But if that scenario happened, I absolutely agree. What happens is whoever wins Ohio State, Michigan gets pushed up to 1. The winner of Oregon, USC gets propped up. If TCU wins out, they'll probably be 2, Georgia 3, and then the winner of Oregon, USC. That's probably the realistic take there.
Dude, Julius Jackson is fucking said LSU will run the table. Trust me. How? How can I trust you?
All right, I trust you. Bet.
That'd be great. You know how exciting it would. You know how fun it would be if LSU ran the table. That'd be so much fun
for it. I think LSU is one of the most fun teams to watch this year. Like, and I said this, Jane Daniels is the perfect Brian Kelly quarterback. If he had Jane Daniels in his time at Notre Dame, they would have won a national championship. They actually would have.
Easy.
No, come on. You put Jane Daniels on that Ian Book team that got
There hasn't been one Notre Dame team that I've ever seen that I thought could beat 2015 Alabama.
Regardless.
Hey, yeah, that's what I fucking thought.
No,
that's what I thought.
They're fun, but we gotta be realistic here. It's not. It's
or don't.
Not gonna...
Maybe we don't. This is called Hack City. Maybe
yeah.
Maybe these are the listeners we've been looking for. This is our demographic. What do we care?
Sean, what I said though right, I'm not knocking anyone. I said this on the stream yesterday because no one was commenting. We had so many viewers, but nobody commented. I said this on the stream yesterday. I said, give me as many obnoxious overreactions as possible. I want everyone to overreact and freak out if you can. That's what we want. It's like that. Those are the real college football fans, not the level-headed ones. Those are the right people that we want.
I don't know.
Cracked builds.
That
we
caught me in a funny place.
This is another SEC comment, I think. I don't know the context of it. Let them keep. Yeah, there's a lot of LSU comments.
Yeah, there was definitely a conversation within the conversation that we were having in the comments.
All right, we're not going to get to all of these, but I just want to hit some of these. Bo Nix is not a good quarterback. Him winning the Heisman would make a mockery of the position. Colin. As much as I have sat here and I have said that Bo Nix is a bad quarterback, the guy's not playing like it. The guy is playing up to a level where he actually might win the Heisman. And
would you shut up?
But Hendon's performance.
Why wouldn't you give it to Bijan over Bo Nix? That is my Heisman candidate favorite right now. Bijan Robinson.
I would give it to Blake. I would give it to Blake Corum before I give it to Bijan.
Oh my God. Sure.
Yeah,
are you giving it to Blake Corum over Bo Nix?
Yeah, a lot of people saying Bo Nix, Caleb Williams. Dude, I'm telling you, if that award is totally predicated on storylines, if Hendon has kind of pushed himself out of it the way that he played, if Bo Nix, this resurrection revenge story, if you will, if he goes and beats USC, wins a Pac-12 championship game and goes to the playoff, the guy's going to win it. He had a rushing, receiving, and passing touchdown against Colorado.
I saw what he had. Hold on.
He's fun.
Time out. Do you know what you just said?
What?
Julius Jackson could get a rushing, passing, receiving touchdown against Colorado. They're the worst college football team that is suiting up this season. I needed you to take a moment and say who you need to realize who you're talking about here against Colorado.
That's a really good point. DJ, thank you for the support, by the way. DJ's always sent a lot of really nice emails and messages to the channel just in general, so really appreciate that. I watched them practice. Julius, what kind of insider access do you have?
Yeah.
Who are we talking to?
There's a Believe show that does a Sunday morning or Saturday mornings. They kick off. If you got some insight, I'm sure you might get some real skinny on LSU.
Well, Blake has a lot. Blake has a lot of really good input,
Sure,
but
Blake's a lot of-
Julius, can you give us what access do you have? I am legitimately curious now. I need to
They
know.
do open practices. They might just do open practices.
They do open practices, but I don't think often. I can't speak for certainty. I can't speak for certainty. I think LSU will run into a buzz on him. Yeah, again same thoughts there that we've been talking about. Oregon will beat USC and Utah. I agree with that sentiment. I don't think that there's anybody in the Pac-12 that has shown. I don't think anyone's shown a level of dominance that Oregon has.
Nobody can turn it on as quickly and as powerfully as Oregon can. When they say, "Okay, it's time to stop playing with our food and stop fucking around," then it's okay. Then doors are blown off. Was it Oregon State or Washington State that they were playing close with, and then
it was Washington
State. They turned it on and they didn't look back, and it was done for.
And the other thing too is that USC, I was kind of like peeping the score. They actually like Cal, score peeping. I'm a peeper. Cal kept it close with them, which is
clip that, Colin.
Hey, yo, Colin, clip that one. No, but they looked like they almost let Cal squeak back into that thing. That it was a close win. Like that's not a good Cal team. That's like one of the worst teams in the country.
That's a weird USC team to judge also because they never cover. They just win. They never cover ever.
No. All right. I think we're going to wrap soon. Again, everyone who tuned in, this was the highest viewership stream that we've had. I guess we got to go live on Saturday, or I'll go live on Saturday and then we'll go live on Sunday too. And apparently it just rolls right into the next. Julius says he lives down the street from LSU. That's interesting. I'm glad that we've got listeners with inside access, but
yeah.
Sean, any closing thoughts before I wrap us?
Sanderson Radio on Twitter, at DeLeone on Twitter. Obviously the channel is Hack City. If I know everyone's here for FBS stuff, but we do an FCS show for the Believe Podcast Network, Believe in FCS football. So if you want some more of this college football talk there, that one's a little more inside because it's the FCS, but it's another show with both of us. It's not a live stream, but it's a show. So you can tune into that. Obviously, we do FBS and FCS shows. Thanks, David Portnoy. Yeah. Big fan. Awesome.
I wonder if that's actually his name.
Yeah, I'm sure. Regardless.
Sorry, that caught me off guard.
We do a lot of shows. Follow us on social media. We post a lot of that shit. And then we'll be back Sunday, maybe middle of the week. A lot of scheduling stuff.
All right. I think it's good notes. Again, everyone who tuned in, we appreciate it. We'll be back with more.
Yeah, and this shit, I gotta get drunk.
Okay. It's like the end of the day on a Sunday. All right.
Yeah, there's Sunday Night Football on, asshole.
Pray for Sean.
Just bought a bottle.